So let's dive a little deeper, right? Going into the allowing our wounds to be our own, um, being our own worst enemies through our wounds and our traumas and choosing not to heal. So if I struggle with addiction, right? And, whatever that addiction might be, substances, food, shopping, um, people, significant others, men, women, whatever it is, those items can only be used against me if they're a weakness and a struggle of mine, right? If I don't struggle with um, addiction, if I don't struggle with substances, substances can't be used to destroy me. If I don't struggle with addiction to um, men or women having a significant other, sex, it can't be used to destroy me. If I don't struggle with spending, right, and saving, it can't be used to destroy me. And so, right, the only things that can become your destruction are things that are a part of you, are things that are near to you, are things that are, infiltrated in your life. And so when we talk about trauma, when we talk about weaknesses, and when we talk about our pain, right? Those things are a part of you. Those things are infiltrated within your life. And so it's easy for someone to show up and take whatever that is and use it against you and use it to destroy you, right? And a lot of what ends up happening, what I'm realizing about life and people and how things work, is a lot of what ends up happening is exactly that, right? People will see your vulnerabilities and they'll take those vulnerabilities and have their way with you through those vulnerabilities. Where if you don't have that weakness, if you don't have that pain point, it can't be used against you. If I'm not addicted to substances, you can't show up and give me a substance and use it to my destruction, right? Or I think the other way to look at it is, if I don't have holes in my cape, right? If I don't suffer from low self-esteem, if I don't suffer from low self-worth, if I love myself fully and wholeheartedly, and I'm not trying to escape from my reality, you can't show up with a substance and get me to comfortably use it. Again, with the addiction to men and women, it's like, if I'm whole and I'm happy and I'm content and I love myself and I don't see myself as needing something outside of myself, then, a significant other, somebody I'm dating, a friend even, can't show up and use that against me. They can't show up and see, oh, this person, lacks self-love. This person lacks self-worth. This person is desperate for, attention, desperate for companionship, desperate for somebody to be in their life, desperate for a relationship. And so I can easily slide in based upon those desperations, based upon those things that they desire and want and don't have, act as if I am those things when I'm really not, and then destroy, do whatever else I want in the process, because their main focus is meeting that need. And so as long as I'm at a minimum pretending that I'm meeting that need, they're going to want to keep me around. So I can pretend that I'm going to meet that need, and then I can bring a whole lot of other stuff to the table that's not good for that person. Same thing with food and shopping, right? It's like if being able to spend is or spending is a coping mechanism for you, people will show up, and it can happen in a couple of ways. They'll show up and they'll act vulnerable so they can get money out of you, or they'll show up with money themselves, enticing you to do things that will put you in position to spend a lot of money. And so I hope this is making sense. I hope people are getting this, where I'm coming from when I say that it's so important to heal, because if you don't have that weakness, if you don't have that vulnerability, it can't be used against you. If I'm not desperate to spend and purchase things and buy things and have experiences to prove myself, to feel better about myself, nobody can show up and want to offer me that, right? It's like if I'm not interested in it, if I'm not looking for it, then they're not going to show up wanting to give you the offer, because it's not what you want. And so only the things that, cater to you can be used to cater to you. And so as we heal, as we deal with our low self-worth, our low self-esteem, as we deal with our lack of self-love, as we address all of the coping mechanisms that we have to run away from those things, be it spending or eating or codependence in relationships, and wanting to always have certain people around you or in your life, there's a lot less possibility for that to be used against you. And so you become a real fortress when you heal, right? When you're whole, you become, Mortal Kombat style, what do you call it? Black belt karate expert champion, because there are very few things that can be dangled in front of you that can be used really against you. And so healing has so many benefits. It's it's not just about like your family and the people around you and relationships and ruining the good things. It's also about keeping out the bad things. It's also about making sure that you are not susceptible to abuse from outside of you, and destruction. And that's where a lot of it comes from. The abuse that a lot of people end up enduring, that doesn't come from family, that doesn't come from childhood, is usually a result of wounding. The setups, the manipulations, all of those things, usually a result of wounding. And so healing is going to be your greatest defense against that. Your greatest defense against it. And yeah, that's something that came up for me recently too. I was just thinking a lot about my own life and my own journey and my own path, and how like certain things have been tried on me, right? Like, you can't lure me with a substance because I'm not into substances. You can't lure me with a relationship or a significant other because I'm not thirsty for a relationship or a significant other. And so, yeah, it became just clear to me, like, you can't be set up with things that aren't a part of, you know, what you're looking for, what you're thirsting for, or already a part of kind of like your makeup and who you are. And I was just thinking about how I lost my brother, and you know, he was set up, but ultimately, like, he set himself up because that vulnerability wasn't addressed. That vulnerability wasn't healed. The vulnerability that he had wasn't dealt with. And so people were able to see that vulnerability and use it against them, right? He died from using substances. And it's just like, I think about, would that have happened had he not been using substances, would folks have just like figured or maneuvered another way? We may never know, right? But yeah, like, they definitely wouldn't have been able to use the substance if that wasn't already a part of his setup and who he is, or who he was. And so, just so important to take care of yourself in that way, and make sure that you don't make it easy for somebody else to exploit, right? If somebody else is going to try to exploit, somebody else is going to try to destroy, right? Let it be a challenge. Make it more difficult to actually do. And you do that by, addressing your own weaknesses and pain points, filling your own holes, looking for the holes and seeing where the holes exist, and then, doing the work of filling those holes. And so I hope this was a helpful follow-up to that first video, and that folks are finding the courage, because it does take courage. It's not easy, but finding the courage to face the music, look in the mirror, see what's there, address it, take the steps that are necessary to shift out of it, and evolve and move forward.